Okay. I'd like to call the April 15th, 2024 Long Hill Township Board of Education meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Long Hill Township Board of Education was given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act as follows. Notice was sent to the Echo Sentinel and Daily Record on September 18th, 2023. Notices were posted on the bulletin board in the first floor entrance of the School District Administration Building, Gillette, New Jersey. Notices were filed with the Township Clerk, and notices were mailed to all persons who have requested individual notice pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Here.
Mrs. Daly?
Here.
Mr. Foster?
Here.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Here.
Dr. Marr?
Here.
Mrs. McLennan?
Here.
Ms. Nyquist?
Here.
Mrs. Rubelo? Mrs. Case?
Here. On the agenda, next is presentation, but that's an error, so we're going to move on from that. Next, communications.
Nothing to report.
Okay, me neither. Board, committee, and liaison reports. Karen.
Okay, the last Ed Services Commission meeting was last Wednesday, and we all know where we were last Wednesday. But I did get an update. Two things. They were renewed this year, again, as being the sole cooperative by which school districts could get Apple products. That's in New Jersey. And what they're looking at, I think I mentioned to you that their school is, their enrollment is going down, and the inevitable is coming. It could be next year actually, but within 2 or 3 years. So they're looking at alternatives for the use of the building, and one of those alternatives is an alternative school, and they're looking into a model of an alternative school run by the Somerset ESC. So that's just something that's ongoing. Governance met. We're continuing our quest on our mission vision project. I think we had mentioned that the 8th graders were given a writing prompt assignment, so to speak, and they provided us information about, what skills they wanted to have, what kind of a person they wanted to be, etc. We kind of looked those over, and very honestly, it, covered everything. I mean, it literally covered everything. So one of the things we wanted to do was actually get copies of the original things that they wrote up, but difficult looking at the names, we couldn't get it all together. So accordingly, we're moving in another direction, and we're looking at pieces of information or samples that Charlene had given us. We're looking at the survey that we took with the superintendent's search. We might be using that for data, but in any case, we'll obviously keep you informed, and the board will be involved as we go on. There's a board planning calendar online, and we want to make it more explanatory, give more information to the public, maybe make it simpler. Again, we got samples from Charlene, and one of the samples, which I particularly like, came from Livingston. So that's what we're working at in trying to format our calendar according to the structure that I have. And they actually identify things such as executive sessions when you know it, and presentations when you know them, so that people can see that way ahead of time. Because there are some things that we do know way ahead of time. For instance, when we have a retreat, that's an executive session. I'm sorry, that's not an executive session. I apologize. Talking about the evaluation. We know that way ahead of time, and that can go on the calendar so people know. Charlene you'll know that the next meeting, May 6th, we're going to be having a goal review and training session. So we're going to be training, our ethics training is a half hour, and then an hour and a half of our goal review. And then it was confirmed with Charlene, we're doing it again in November. November will obviously be with our new set of goals. Again, it'll begin with a half-hour training, the subject of which has to be determined, and then we'll go on to our goal review. We're going to try to have November, and it really should be April, but we were too late in scheduling Charlene for April, so that's why we have her for May. We have another governance meeting tomorrow. And now finance. And I'm gonna, really, hopefully you'll help me with when I miss, because it was pretty full. We had a review of the status and our progress towards the goals, and two things that were identified by Robin. she had spoken with not Watchung Hills, the Watchung School District, about having a shared services agreement associated with sports transportation. Unfortunately, right now, they're not in a personnel situation or in a general situation where they could, go into that agreement, but they're going to keep talking about it. The other thing, too, is Robin had been looking at grants that we could use for our lunch program, but the ones that she has so far turned up, she'll keep looking, have all been written for if you have a kitchen already, and we do not have a kitchen. So the grants that she's already looked at, too, unfortunately don't match. The website presentation on the budget is up. This was, I don't know, maybe you have a new update. As of 4/10, there were 58 hits. I know I was one of them, but Robin was not 57. I mean, yeah, okay. The RFP was sent out on April 4th for the aftercare program, and it's very quick. It's a 20-day turnaround, and once received, Robin's going to need a team. She's going to get together a team of 3 or 4 people to go through the bids that are received. Obviously, if there's, one bid, that'll be easy, but who knows? Excuse me. You'll see on the agenda, there's a series of resolutions dealing with contracts with things such as attorneys, the bond counsel, the auditor, et cetera. These are some things that happen every year. You get the contract in place so that if and when we use their services, we have all that's necessary so we can just do that. We don't have to worry about, initiating a contract that's already approved. There's also a resolution associated with 4 RTUs, rooftop units, associated with the Gillette School. Frank was very diligent, and the JCP&L had a great thing where they're going to provide 70% of the cost. We provide 30% to replace those units, and it could be our payment could be over 5 years, and it can actually go into our monthly bill, 0% interest. It's really what's known as a no-brainer. I mean, it's incredible. Hopefully, in December, when certain criteria change, Frank believes that Millington will be entitled to the same kind of arrangement. And believe it or not, they have 14 rooftop units, which is really amazing. Okay, S&P rating, the business office fulfilled all the requirements in submitting all the materials. We maintained our AA rating, and we moved from stable to positive, which is a really good thing to do. You're going to also see on the agenda, there were some very nice and beautiful donations by 2 nurseries who Robin said it was and Frank said it was a pleasure to deal with them. They really want to support the schools in the community, so you can see the trees where they are. I mean, and the Girl Scouts did a nice job of planting stuff. Again, there's a number of agenda items dealing with agreements again. The rates for services out of Morris County Ed Services, the Morris County Ed Services administering the non-public services agreement, tuition rates, dealing with the tech company. Again, this is to get it in place so that should we use the services, we can just go on order. The bid on the fire alarm was out, again, was put out. That was for Gillette School, and it'll be opening April 30th, still April 30th is the opening, okay. And, and Long Hill will be joining another ESC to obtain a larger network of co-op processing. Any school district in any county can join an ESC from any county, so even the Morris County one has Sussex, it has Middlesex, it has Monmouth members. It's like you search around for who's going to the best price for what you're going to get, and then you join that, and you pay a small fee to be a member, and so on. So our next meeting will be May 1st, and that's it.
Okay, any questions for Karen?
Karen, I have a question for you. I noticed in the paper that there was a legal notice for requesting professional services quotes. Is that part of what you were just describing? Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Crystal.
Nothing this month.
Okay, Danielle.
Yes, so, Community Relations Committee met today. It was myself, George, Tom, Kim, Justin. And we just tidy up what we're going to be doing for the Sterling Street Fair this Sunday. And that's going to be, like I said, April 21st, this Sunday, 9 to 5-ish. A lot of times they start closing around 4, a lot of the vendors. So we'll be there, so come and visit us. Hopefully everyone got an email to sign up for times. And we'll be right in front of the Act 2 consignment, which is on the west side of the street between Union and Essex. So that was that. And then, let me see here. I have some things to say for the PTO. The PTO sponsored Long Hill's Got Talent Show, and that was on April 10th, and that was awesome. It went well. Thank you to everyone who volunteered and helped produce the show. The Tanglewood Marionettes held a workshop with our 4th graders today and will be performing assemblies for all grades at Millington School tomorrow and Gillette on Wednesday. The Millington Book Fair is next week, and the next PTO general meeting will be on April 24th at 7 p.m. in the Millington Media Center. There are a lot of PTO grade level events coming up in May and June supporting the PTO please support the PTO by joining as a paid member and complete the volunteer opportunities form on the PTO website. If anyone has any questions, reach out to LHTPTO@gmail.com. And that's it.
Okay. Any questions for Danielle? I echo the talent show, right, was terrific and just well run. There's a lot going on there, and it's a long time, but they make time through everything, and so it was great to see. The other thing I think since we last met was they did the Rutgers Science Fest actually came because it got canceled, and I know there were rave reviews from the 5th graders on that, so that was very exciting. Anne.
Student achievement was scheduled to meet on April 7th, but we rescheduled due to a conflict with timing with the administration. So we will be meeting on April 17th this week at 4:30. The agenda likely went out last week with the April 9th, but if not, I think it did, George.
I'm not sure if it did, but we'll
No,
get
we'll
it
double
out-
check
we'll get
to
it out
make
first
sure
thing.
because it's there. And then Watchung Hills is continuing with their regionalization study. They did get approval for that. You'll recall last year that we had discussed it. And they, it's joint with Watchung Bureau as well,
Yes.
isn't it? Yes. I
Yeah.
thought you would be able
Yeah.
to verify that for us. So they had, their liaison reached out to me because I'm the Watchung Hills liaison to see if we would send a board member to sit on their committee. We're not part of the regionalization study, but they still want to have a Warren, a Greenbrook, and a Long Hill member available to sit on the study. That's going to start on April 23rd. So I had reached out to Kim and George and said that I am available for it since I'm the liaison. So I guess I'll have updates on that for us as time goes forward.
Okay.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully it'll be interesting and informative.
Any other questions for Anne? I will say I don't have the student achievement meeting on my calendar, so I don't know if it got.
I don't think it did, because Liz was out
Okay.
today, and she's out
Maybe
tomorrow, so I'll send something out first thing in the morning.
Okay, great. Okay, Tom.
Nothing to report this month, thank you.
Okay, Justin.
Nothing to report.
Okay, Katie.
Nothing to report on the buildings and grounds. We have a meeting, I believe, next week, so I'll have an update next month. The Long Hill Education Foundation, we just completed our cookie drive, and that was a huge success, so thank you to the people who bought cookie packages, and we're hoping to do it again next year, but closer to Valentine's Day, so keep your eyes out for next year as well. Let's see, we have this Sunday, we will also be at the Sterling Street Fair, so you can come along and meet us, hear about what we're doing, and we might have a robotics robot there for people to check out. So hopefully that's going to work out. And we're also planning in the upcoming weeks to have an event where kids can come out. We're working on the logistics, but just FYI, for kids to, experience robotics and, kind of for them to kind of get a feel for what the program is. They'll be showing them the robots. I think they're going to construct some, and it'll be a good activity, but more information will be coming in the future on that. We have our color run coming up on May 17th. It's at 6:30 at Millington. It's open to all schools. And I believe even people in the community, if they want to participate, they're welcome. There's a waiver that needs to be signed. And it actually went out today in the kids' school bags, but it's also on our website, which is longhillforce.org, and people can sign up there. They also can get T-shirts. It's not mandatory, but you can buy the T-shirts, so if you don't want your kid getting, color thrown on them in their regular clothes, it'll be a nice, cute, white Long Hill T-shirt that'll be available. We also will be having a meeting tomorrow night at 8 p.m. It's online. It's a Google Meet meeting, and everyone's welcome. And finally, we have, I think, 4 items on the chart tonight for approval. It's the 5th grade field trip to Newark. It's a video camera for theater production and walkie-talkies for theater production at the middle school, and then sensory inclusive resources for Millington. And we still have active, teachers and administrators are welcome to submit grant requests on an ongoing basis. So that's all for now. And Force is ongoing, and we will have a late spring session this year. So thank you.
Okay. Any questions for Katie?
The way you said it, you didn't have a late spring session before, is that?
We
remember.
have had it in the past. We usually have in the past done only 2 sessions, but because they end normally in November, we added a late winter class and a late spring class, so that parents like the kids to keep in activity, so it's nice. And it goes through early June now to add the other class. So it's good. It's we really beefed up what we actually provide. There's a lot of really fun classes. One of the things I'm really pleased with is there's running. They started these running class, and like my friend was talking to me today, and her daughter's going to run a 5K. And she wouldn't have done that without that class. So it's really great. They're getting kids moving. And it's really great for kids that might not want to play softball or might not want to play basketball or another sport, but to do something where they're getting out and they're moving around. So it's great that we have, the robotics and the science and the cooking and the sewing, but it's also nice to have some physical activities as well. So
Nice.
I'm really pleased with how we've kind of brought in some of the things that we're doing.
That's great.
So it's great.
Something for everyone.
Okay. Okay. Superintendent's report.
Okay, great. This was my first PTO talent show, so let me just add to it. It really was fantastic. It was a full house in the Watchung Hills Performing Arts Center, which is not a small space. It must have been exhausting putting it all together, so yes, thank you to the volunteers. They were wonderful. We had parents, teachers, and of course, students participating. I think there were over 40 acts. And they moved through it very quickly, but it still went for over 2.5 hours, and it was just highly successful, and it was great to see. The best part was that the student performers were beaming. So I can't believe we're at the point of the year where we have to administer the NJSLA again this spring. Families should look for a letter from Ms. Backer with more information by the end of this week. Testing at Central runs from April 29 to May 7th, and at Millington from May 9th through the 20th. Please also look for a message from Ms. Backer about our Summer Institute. We're opening up the program to all students at this point, and information will be going out this week. We're celebrating Autism Awareness Month this week with spirit days and resources that have been shared with our teachers and staff. The individual schools sent more information in their weekly bulletins last Friday. The New Jersey School Performance Reports for 2022-23 are available on the NJDOE website. A range of data is available about all New Jersey districts and schools. We have a link on our district website for easy access for everyone. On the agenda tonight, we have a revised school calendar for this year. It effectively gives back previously planned emergency closing days that went unused over the winter. The proposed plan is to close school on Friday, May 24th, that's Memorial Day weekend, and to end the year one day sooner. The last day would be Tuesday, June 18th. Also on the agenda is an agreement with the County College of Morris for purposes of reserving the use of the CCM campus as a reunification site. The board approved a similar plan last year. And it does not obligate us to use CCM, but it preserves the option. But let's just say, let's hope we never have to use it. Last, I want to thank Ants Plants, this was mentioned also, and Hall's Garden Center for the generous spring donations, but I really want to thank the Girl Scouts because I'm told that they've been planting flowers outside Gillette for a number of years. When I found out it hasn't been on the board agenda apparently in the past, I wanted to make sure we do recognize them, and it was great to see them land on the front page of the Echo Sentinel this week. Also, coming soon, we have AEDs that will be installed at each school's baseball softball field. I'm pleased to report the Long Hill Baseball Softball Association is going to split the cost with us. We're grateful for that shared commitment to safety. And thank you to the LHEF for the grants on the agenda, and also to the PTO's constant support and the programs that we've seen recently. I'm looking forward to the assembly tomorrow. It's National School Bus Driver Appreciation Day, the fourth Tuesday of April, which also happens to be Shakespeare's birthday, Anne. So we are thankful for our bus drivers. Despite the problems we've had with transportation this year, our bus drivers have been terrific, and we really appreciate them. And I'll turn it over to Robin.
Thank you. I have to say, I don't have much of a report. Karen did an excellent job in going over the agenda. I just want to mention that Rose Valley Nursery also donated lovely concentrate, which cherry, flowering pink. Both trees are in the front of Gillette School, where 2 trees were taken down in the fall, so we've replaced those. I also want to mention that we are asking the board to approve the disposal of an old piano at Central School that Mr. Vitarello has identified. And other than that, I think we've covered everything on the agenda for the business office.
If I may, can I ask you to just say something regarding Frank and his involvement in the bid,
Sure. Sure. Yeah, Frank has been instrumental in looking at the schools to see just what we're lacking and how do we get it. He has a wealth of knowledge in determining where to go. So he was able to go to JCP&L to find this program that is going to be great for us. And if you remember, we put extra money into our maintenance reserve last year. We got that approved. So it's fabulous because now we can use that extra money to really replace things that need to be replaced. He also has been working on the bid for the Gillette fire system and has been instrumental in that. I can't say enough about him. I think it's just a really great relationship and wonderful for the district.
When he was talking about the JCP, and I'll bet he was virtual with the meeting, he kept saying, referencing, making sure the classrooms are, where the kids can really work, where the teachers can really work. I don't know, he was a little Mark Pristina, about putting everything into the, and Dan, everything associated with the kids. It was really,
Yeah.
It really is wonderful. It really
The one thing
is.
that we've done that I'm not sure that the board's aware of is that Frank identified that a lot of our buildings were missing screens, right? Either that they weren't there or the frames weren't there. And so we went out and bought a bunch of screens and we have them doing like 5 screens a day, and all the screens are being replaced. And so it's like a little thing, but I have to tell you, it makes all of us feel very good. And Frank comes in every day beaming, we got another 5 done. So I think by the end of the year, we're gonna have almost everything. And when they take them down, they're actually washing the windows and then putting them back up, which I think is a really good thing. I think teachers are happy. I know I'm really happy about it, so.
Robin, a quick question
Yeah.
for you. On the piano, I was going to ask this later, but since you brought it up, is it in any kind of shape to either donate or sell? Or
No, it's just,
gonna be
yeah,
firewood?
it really is, yeah,
Great. Well, we could save a couple bucks.
yeah.
Any other questions? Okie dokie. Any comments from the public on agenda items? Okay, we're going to move to resolutions. I think everything was, all the thank yous went out. I don't know if I heard just flagging the Daisy Troops are collecting donations for Moms Helping Moms. So if anybody has those, that would be great. And then the only other thing, and George, I don't know if you mentioned this, the Summer Institute, so that it's coming up. So when will people get notices on that?
By the end of this week.
Okay, so
Something's going out
so
just
that's
to let
good.
them-
Okay,
yep.
so then people can plan because I know summer camp gets a little stressful.
Yeah, the previous notice went out before spring break about the students who were invited. And since we got those responses, we've opened it up to everybody now.
Oh, great. Okay. All right. So moving to resolutions. Karen, will you move in number 1 minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Crystal, will you move in financials numbers 2 through 30?
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
I only want to say, I forgot to say that the bills were approved. So
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay. Tom, you have a question?
On item 23, we're talking about walkie-talkies. Amount of $1,300 roughly. Are these special walkie-talkies? Do we need a lot of walkie-talkies? Just, the number just
It's
jumps out.
not, I mean, it's special in-house for theater production,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that
And,
makes sense to me.
yeah, I mean, that's why they went external for us to do it, so.
Okay, that's perfect.
It was very well documented by Mr. Vitarello, and we weren't concerned about the price or whatever.
And the other item would be on item 30. We have 2 new vendors that are over 44,000. Do we know how much over 44,000 they are? Is it $100,000?
No, it's not. She is just our vendor for technology supplies, and remember, this resolution tells you when they're over the $44,000 bid threshold. Doesn't mean that we did anything wrong about it. It's just that we have to let you know on that. But this is just technology items. The uncommon thread is the BCBA in district support. And again, that's just kind of letting you know. I think uncommon thread, was about 80,000, 85,000. That,
Okay.
BCBA is behavioral, I don't even know what
Behavioral
number.
analyst, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
well, for everyone.
No, I appreciate it. Okay, so
Board
we know-
board certified behavioral analyst, that's,
So one is 85 instead of 44, and how much was the technology supplies?
You know what, I don't have a good number for you on that, Tom. I can get that for you.
That would be great.
But it's not huge. It's not 100,000 over. It's,
Okay. It just reads funny because it's over, but we're not going to. All right, good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes, but abstained from 23.
Mrs. McLennan?
yes, but abstain from 23.
Okay. Mrs. Nyquist?
Yes.
And Mrs. Case?
Yes. Danielle, will you move in special services numbers 31 through 32?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes,
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Okay. And will you move in personnel numbers 33 through 37?
So moved.
Second
Any questions?
question
Okay.
on items 33 and 34. Item 33, this person goes out for sick leave, comes back for 1 day, and then goes out on FMLA. Is that a standard practice? Is there a particular reason why?
I don't know if there's a standard practice, but that's the orientation day for the return of the teachers.
Makes a lot of sense. The next one on 34, the person is utilizing paid sick leave in half-day increments. Do we have a policy on that? Is this something, I mean, I'm sure it's up to your discretion, but I don't know if there's a policy that says that we can do a thing like that. I know
Yeah.
FMLA says that you can,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, I don't know if there's a policy on it, but I can look. But yeah, within my discretion, and I recommend that.
that's fine. Maybe perhaps the policy committee could pick that up for some other meeting.
if it's by if it's already in the law, I mean, then you don't need a policy on it,
We
really.
have a lot of policies that are also mirroring laws.
Yeah, but you do that when the particulars of the district require you to make an adjustment. There wouldn't be any particulars in this, unless I'm wrong, but let Melissa will.
I'll double check. It's probably covered by the the regular policy. But, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Tom, will you move in curriculum numbers 38 and 39?
So moved.
Second?
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. Justin, will you move in policy numbers 40 through 44?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on policy? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Mrs. Case?
Yes. And Katie, will you move in other numbers 45 through 49?
So moved.
Second.
You can pick, Robin. Any questions, please?
Just one question. When we do an evacuation drill, does Central still go to Hudson Way and Hudson Way comes to Central?
It depends on what kind of evacuation drill it is, but yes, we still have that in place.
I have to tell you, the first time that happened.
The firehouse
it
at
really freaked
Millington.
me out because they walked past my house and all of you see like 200 kids walk past your house. I'm like, what's going on? It was an
Okay.
introduction to the neighborhood.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Butler?
Yes.
Mrs. Daly?
Yes.
Mr. Foster?
Yes.
Mr. Grosskopf?
Yes.
Dr. Marr?
Yes.
Mrs. McLennan?
Yes.
Ms. Nyquist?
Yes.
Ms. Case?
Yes. Okay, any items for discussion, any unfinished business? Any new business? Okay, any comments from the public? Okay, Anne, will you move us into executive session?
Sure. The board will enter into private executive session to discuss confidential personnel and harassment, intimidation, and bullying matters. No action will be taken following the executive session.
We have second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.